You know, let me just say it once. I think I was quite impressed with the speech. I went in with a feeling of foreboding, and what I found very effective was that until now, India has been a political partner with America. There have been political freedoms in India, but there's never really been economic freedom. And his way of kind of bringing this as almost like the basis of a new relationship with America. And as for defense, very effective in speaking in quite oblique ways about China, about Pakistan, and of kind of positioning India squarely at the kind of at almost a reorganizing of the world order. So I have to say I came away pretty impressed.
And how has Narendra Modi changed in that way since he came to power?
Well, I mean, immeasurably. You know, from being a complete political pariah to be somebody who couldn't come into I think at the time he was elected, he wasn't legally allowed to enter the United States, to this blossoming of this friendship with Obama. I have to say one thing that I find him, I used to hear him during the election speeches, and I find him very effective speaker in Hindi. None of the cliches that you hear in English, but there is something quite moving about the transition to language as well, and to having learned English, to having addressed the joint session of Congress in this way. So yeah, a massive transformation.
That's right, because when he came to power, when he came to France, for instance, the speeches were always in Hindi, not in English.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer them that way. He's a very powerful speaker in Hindi, but he has learned this language, and maybe it is more effective in communicating what he wants to get across.
Now, as the son of an Indo-Pakistani family, what are your thoughts listening to what he's saying? Is his preoccupation Pakistan, or is his preoccupation China?
It's both, and he was very clever in the way he spoke of Afghanistan in veiled terms, gesturing to the Americans that listen, we're with you. The way he spoke of a terror that was uniform in ideology from India all the way across the Middle East. And he said it might take different shapes, but the ideology is the same. The incubation of that place is Pakistan. He doesn't mention Pakistan by name, but everyone knows what he's talking about. So on one hand, shoring up support in this thing that's very near to him, that's very problematic right at his doorstep, and on the other, leveraging this power against China and saying, listen, you need a partner against China, you need an economic as well as a military partner, and let's do this thing together. We're democracies, we believe in certain basic freedoms, and we have no business not getting along.
And the U.S. sells, of course, plenty of military hardware and shares a lot of intelligence with Pakistan. Can Washington be friends with both?
I think Washington has kind of. That was a big problem a few years ago. It was actually like a kind of moral problem in the sense that these were the old Cold War allies and they were not sure where to. But now Pakistan's relationship with America, both vice versa, it's a very cynical, very transactional relationship. And the Americans will do a certain kind of business with Pakistan as long as they need to, and the Pakistanis will as well. But I don't think there's real friendship as such. I think that the distrust there is now too deep. With India, of course, I think there will be friendship.
Aatish Taseer, let's talk a little bit about those reasons why he was refused a visa, because they came up in the news this week. He was the governor of Gujarat back in 2002 when more than 1,000 were killed in intercommunal violence. This Thursday, an Indian court convicting 24 Hindu men for their role, including 11 defendants found guilty of murder. Others were acquitted. Your reaction?
Look, that riot was absolutely hideous. And it's a terrible blemish on his record, but it's not something that hasn't happened in India. India has a history of communal violence, and certainly Rajiv Gandhi, after the Sikh riots, was not barred entry into the United States. You know, so there was a little bit of, there was certainly very powerful political influence in making a situation where Modi couldn't come to America because of those riots. I also think that, you know, if you compare the history of riots, it's a very good thing to see justice being done, because certainly with the 84 riots where 3,006 were killed in a matter of few days in Delhi, there wasn't ever really any justice. There was no closure. So I think with Gujarat, awful as it was, this is signs of kind of the carriage of justice kind of running its course.
Aatish Taseer, final question for you. You were saying at the outset how Narendra Modi has changed, perhaps mellowed since he came to power. How about his supporters?
There's no way to get away from the fact that he's got a lunatic fringe. There are many, many people who feel emboldened. I don't think the Prime Minister has spoken to them as firmly as he could have. I think ministers could have been sacked for saying very, very ugly things. But I think that quietly a message has been communicated that they better watch it, because they're a danger to his project. So like you can do with that what you like. There is the lunatic fringe. I believe that it's being controlled. I mean, it's the best I can say.